Hey guys, it's Mike and welcome to Cabin Collectibles. And today on the show we are going to go to Montreal and check out the house of Sir George Etienne Cartier. And I'll tell you a little bit about who he was and why you should know about him. Stay tuned. So on this channel we talk about historical items, collectibles, and things that I'm interested in to do with history, and places I go to check out that are of a historical nature. So that's what we're doing today on the show. So sometimes it'll be sports and sports memorabilia, sometimes it'll be historical figures and travel and things like that, but that's what we do on this channel. My other channel, Mike's Rock and Relics, is all music, history, and artifacts relating to the history of rock and roll, records, guitars, and things like that. So check out Mike's Rock and Relics on YouTube if you want to have more information about that. And stick around here if you like the historical stuff that we're going to talk about on this channel. So a few years ago, I hopped on the train and went down to Montreal. And one of the stops when I was there to take a look at was the house of Sir George Etienne Cartier. And I was not really that familiar at that time with what he had done. I kind of just knew him as a father of Confederation in Canada, but I didn't really know much about him. So going there was a great experience to start to actually learn about who he was and what he did. I learned that he actually was a lawyer and started to practice law in 1834. And he was involved with the Grand Trunk Railway, as that was one of his legal clients. And he was also inspired by Louis Joseph Papineau, who was a member of the Society of Sons of Liberty. And that was a group of people that took part in the Lower Canada Rebellion of 1837. And this is something that caused him a little bit of strife at the time, and he was actually exiled and took up refuge in Vermont. So his early, to think of him as a father of Confederation, early on, he was actually, basically exiled from Canada and removed. But with the reasons that ended up being for Confederation. So he did see it through and what he was trying to do, and was one of the people who really helped to reform and create the Legislative Assembly of Canada. So in 1854, Cartier was appointed to cabinet, and from 1857 to 1862, he served with John A. Macdonald as co-premier of the United Province. And he was a loyal friend to Macdonald, and with whom he created the Great Coalition with George Brown in 1864. And the purpose of the Great Coalition was to end the political instability in the province, which had 6 governments in as many years at that point. Once the Dominion of Canada was created in 1867, John A. Macdonald became Prime Minister, and Cartier was his Minister of Militia and Defense. And he was also a member of the Parliament and Legislative Assembly of Quebec. During his time in Ottawa, Cartier was responsible for negotiations with Britain and the Hudson's Bay Company for the purchase of Rupert's Land and the Northwest Territory. And he was also an active participant in the negotiations that led to the creation of the province of Manitoba. He remains one of Canada's most significant historical figures and was one of the reasons Quebec entered Confederation. And he definitely had an impact on the way our country looks today. If you'd like to check out his residence, it's in Old Montreal on 458 Notre Dame Street East. And there's a historic site there dedicated to his life and achievements, and the house which he lived in. So I'm going to take you inside, and I've taken some pictures while I was there, and you can check out what it looked like. The building itself is situated in Old Montreal, and it's a wonderful old stone building. It's very well preserved and kept and looked after. And it almost looks as if he could be living there now. It just looks amazing. On the inside, you walk through each room, and it's set up as his residence was at the time, and all the period furniture and things like that. And it really does appear as if somebody is living there at the moment, and you get a real idea of what life was like in Victorian Canada at the time, and a really wonderful job they've done at letting people see what it looked like at that point. There's lots of plaques and little signs and things telling you what different furniture was and where it came from and things like that. A lot of it's very historic. It was pretty interesting, and I'd highly recommend you check that out. Well, there's a brief look inside the residence of Sir George Etienne Cartier and a little bit of history about who he was and what he did as a father of Confederation for Canada. I hope you enjoyed that look. On this channel, we do historic locations like that, talk about historical figures, as well as collectibles from history, and it could be historical items like that or sports memorabilia and things like this. So if you're into that type of thing, definitely tune in next time and we'll have more. Keep on collecting.